What's up, guys? So in the last time we finished the recipe page. So as you can see, this is the demo application. We are able to watch and see what kind of foods we can choose from. So we have the sweet category, uh, the drinkable stuff, salads, and light type of foods, and the savory type of foods. And what we want to create is to go to the specific category. So in the URL, we are into the recipes. We can hit the sweet one, and I want to get right here. We need to create this page. And after we have this page, we need to be able to go to select our sweet recipes, which is going to uh, take us to a list of all the recipes that we have in the database for the sweet type. I will drag this to right now, and let me just go and start our own project right now because this is the demo one and I want to open the one that we are working on. So go to the desktop. This is where I have my project added, cookbook project. All we did was the page and the recipe page. Now I'm going to open the backend because we are going to have to get some data from the backend. So let's go to cookbook project, go to the backend, activate the environment. As you can see, I'm using another type of environment, but you can use the one that we used uh, the other videos. So I'm activating my environment. It's just an environment, doesn't matter what type of you're using, if you know that it works. Okay, and on another terminal, I'll just close this one, close this one too, and open the other project, so the frontend. So Google project, frontend, and PM start. Okay, and this will open my port 3000. So this is our project right now. We can go to recipes page, but we cannot really choose. So I can go to the sweet ones, but I don't see the data. This is what we want to do. So if we go to the salad page, I want to see some type of photos with the salads and the dressings and stuff that we can buy in this type of category. So to achieve this one, this functionality, firstly, if you remember, if we go to recipes and then click on whatever page, so sweet, it's going to send you to category and sweet. So this sweet, if you can see, this is like a key, primary key. Category coffee, category savory, category salad. So we can extract this key from the URL and actually be able to render the data as we want. So we can have a page as with a route of, let's see, category and an ID. So every time I'm going to a page like this, I want to extract this key and render the data, this type of data. So for the sweet one, I want to render some cookie and stuff like that pages on the page. Some clickable pages, clickable containers, sorry. So this is what we want to achieve, but they are going to be different on the salad pages, let's say like that. So let's do this functionality. Let me just open it. So we need to create a category page. This should be in the pages because it's another page. So let's call it category.javascript. Import it so we do not get an error. But firstly, we have to create the arrow function. Okay, so I'm going to import it right here. Import category. And now we can actually go to the page of the category. And to extract that ID, we can do something like import, let's see, use params. And we start the server, we want to get the ID, so params.id. And just to show you, this is going to console log the ID of the page. So just a second. Actually, first we have to do something like params equal to use params. So it's an object that can use the params for us and get the ID from it. So you can see here we have the salad. If we go to the sweet one, it's going to print sweet. So this is how we can catch that ID. Good. Now I will do the console log. And firstly, we should be able to do some requests to the database. So let me just think of the logic. We need a use effect, so we need to import it right up, right here. And every time we start the server, so an empty dependency only when we start the page, uh, we need to do the following. We should we shouldn't request from the database right now. What I want to do is to know what images I want to get. So in the images, I want to drag some new images that we'll be using. Let me just think how we should do this. Um, so let's do a function const get image source, and this is going to get the image name that we want to get, and then we need to do a try and catch. You're going to understand what we are doing right in a minute, so just stick to it. We have an error, we can just console log the error. Okay, that's good. Okay, and we can return null because it didn't found image. So return null. Else, we can return require. So we have folder images right here. So we go to images and then get the, so do this type of commas up right here. I need to get the image that we want to have. So image name. This is a dynamic type of request, let's say like that. So we want to get the path for one image. Okay, I'm going to explain everything, just trust me. So we have another image, which is going to get the image name and the result, and the image source is going to be getting this function, and we have to send the image name. So we want to get, let's say, the image with the cookie. So let's say something like this, just an example. So the cookie one. So how we can do this? We have in the images, I'm going to import a cookie type of image right here. And the image name is going to be cookie, and the image source will be got to this function. So we go to the images and image name. Okay, after we got the image, if image source is not empty, then we want to return an image tag. Okay, in the image tag, we add the class image category, and the source will be this path, image source. And I will just add a little bit of styling, so width of 10 rim, and we can, let's see, 10, 15 rim should be enough. Okay, and the use effect part. If the ID is going to be sweet, so sweet, then we want to mm, just wait a second. Nope, nope, no, it's not the use effect part. So let's just go to the container. So we want to have a div with a class name of category screen. So just to remember, we need to create this page. We need to be a div with the category screen. And in this one, we need to have a container which will represent the container where we are going to add the actual images. So import container from Bootstrap. The container is this one, this big container where we store the clickable images, let's say it like that. Okay, in this container we want to have h1 with a style of font weight, border, font size 5 rim, a color of black, and then a font family of cursive. And every time I want to show you what we are doing. Okay, so you can understand it. So this is going to be having a button. That's just the button that we want to create. So we need to have a link right now, because if you remember, when I'm clicking to this one, I want to be redirected to another page. I don't really think that we need the h1. So it's just going to be a basic link. It's going to redirect us to, let's see, recipe details, and then the ID, which we got to the params. And I'm going to explain you this. So recipe details ID. When we are clicking this button, select all suite recipes. Actually, want to be redirected to the recipe details and then suite. So we are redirected to the page where we are rendering all the sweet recipes. If you want to render all the savory ones, we need to have the idea of the savory. So if we are on the page with the savory ones, the ID will be savory, so the button will go is going to send us to the recipe details and the savory type of page. So it's going to be a dynamic ID. We need to import the link too. So import link. That's good. Uh, After this one, this is going to be a button from React Bootstrap. Select all and ID recipes. So the ID for this page right now, let me just import the button too. So import button. Okay. The you actually need to import the button like this, but you can add it right here with the container. So it's going to be fine. You need to structure it. Okay. Uh, so recipes, suite one, and we need to have the button right here. Let me just see why it's not working. So we are in the category. So if you go to the app category and we want to go to the category screen. So category suite. Why I cannot see the render? So let's see. Category screen container is just above, it's just under the navbar. So we want to bring this container. The navbar is having a height of 6 rim. So I'm going to bring this container position of relative and the top of 6 rim. Okay. Now you can see this button, select all with recipes. If you go to the salad, select all salad recipes. If you go to the savory, select all savory recipe, because it's just the ID that we got from the URL. Pretty basic stuff right now. After this button, we want to have a row, and now you are going to understand why we did this type of stuff, like these functions. So in the first row, I want to have, let's say, 1, 2, I can go right here and see 1, 2, 3 columns. So the first one, I'll just write the first one and then copy paste the other ones. So this one is going to have a style of display flex, because we want to align the elements. So align items center, and then justify content center. So I want to align the content from the column, and you kind of have to import it. So let's see, write with the container button row and call, and this should give me another error. And in every column, we want to have a button and an image. So let me just add the style for the button, display of flex, align items center, justify content center. I don't want to have a background, none. I want to have a border. Let's see. Actually, I don't want borders, so none. And every time I click on this button, on click, we want to be redirected on the page. But right now, we just leave it like that. So when we click the button for the cookie one, I want to be redirected to the cookie page. That's why this whole thing is actually a button. Okay, but I'm going to leave it blank right now. Next, I want to use these rectangles, whatever they are. So I will just import them. Um, just a second. So I will drag a folder right here in the source. It has some CVGs, so rectangle 1, rectangle 2, rectangle 3, rectangle 4, rectangle 5, rectangle 4, 6. This is just the rectangles that you can see here. You're going to find those into the description. And we can import them doing something like this. So I'm going to do this for the first one. Import. We want to use the SVGs as React component. So React component as rect1. From, we need to specify the path. So we go to the SVGs and select the rect1.svg. The others one I'm just going to copy. So rectangle 2, rectangle 3, rectangle 4, we're going to copy. Why? Because this is a button which is having a rectangle image. So we can do this here, rect1, we called it. If you go to our server, you can see that. So this is a button, but the button is filled up with the rectangle image, so the SVG. And besides the SVG, we want to render an image. So an image with a cookie, etc. And again, I'm going to drag some images. So from what you remember, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 images, and this is the moment when you are going to understand why we did these functions. So if you are into the suite page, we'll have, let's say, suite 1, suite 2, suite 3, suite 4, suite 5, suite 6. If you are into the savory page, we have the image savory 1, savory 2, savory 3. So we are going to use the ID to know which images we want to show. So let's do this. So as I said, we want to render image of the ID. So suite in this example 1. And this render image goes right here, gets the image. This could be something like suite 1.png or savory one, depends on what page we are. So we are using the ID, goes right here with the name, and the get image source is going to the image to get the source. So here into the image and search for the image name, because we want to get the image, and let's say suite1.png, and returns it, and then we return the image, so the HTML with this image. You could have done just like this if you wanted, and the source would have been something like require image, but I think that this type of thinking is a bit more flexible. But and I'm going to copy this column and paste it, let's say two more times. But I already have it, so you need to copy this, paste it two more times, and add in here 2 and 3. And the same, we will have another row, so I'm just going to copy it. So the first row is going to have the rectangle 1, image 1, rectangle 2, image 2, rectangle 3, image 3. The other row, rectangle 4, image 4, rectangle 5, image 5, and the rest is the same for the styling. And we will have error because we can't find the path, so we don't have the handle redirect where we have the handle redirect. Of course. So as I said, I will just delete this one for a bit, so it's not throwing an error. I want just to delete this one because you're not having them. So I will delete those on click events. Okay. So all you have to do is to create the first column, copy the first column two more times in the first row, select here 2, 3, 2, 3, copy the first row, paste it again, 4, 5. So you're just having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Every one is having rectangle 1, image 1, rectangle 2, image 2. But 3 are in the first row and 3 are in the second row. So I hope that you can manage to stick with me. And you can see them right here, so they're just buttons. But when I click on this one, I actually first I want to see the image. So um, I will just paste the image. So if you can see, if you are on the suite page, you want to have the suite 1 PNG, suite 2 PNG, suite 3 PNG. But if I'm on the savory page, I want to have an image savory 1, savory 2. So you kind of have to import those. So I will just drag them right here, but you're going to find them into the description. Let me just drag them right now for you. So we have the images right here. So coffee 1, coffee 2, coffee 3, coffee 4. So the drinkable page for me is just going to be full of coffee. Salad 1, salad 2, salad 3, salad 4. Let's say savory 1, savory 2. Okay, now we can see them. They are not really, they don't look that nice, but we have to add some styling too. Firstly, I want, if you remember, we have the, just a second. We have the class category screen. I want to add a bit of styling for this one. So if you go to the CSS and hit category suite, I want to add this styling. So a bit of width, height, because it's the image, is the background. I want to be as width as possible. I want to have background image, display flex, and the line item center, justify content set. So I just want to have everything centered into the page. So I'm adding this type of CSS. I want the background image and the category screen div to be as big as the page. So we need to import this category PNG. If we go to the public, I'm going to give you that too into the description. You go to the public and let me just search for the create a new folder image, and this folder is going to have this PNG. No, not this one, sorry. Actually, I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. So that's good. That's good. Take a category PNG. Let me just refresh this one real quick. Public image category.png will be found. Category.png. Let me see the path again. So we want to go to the public, then to images. It's not able to find images. Oh, this has to be in the public. So images, then category. Now should work just fine. okay. I still don't like how they look, but as I said, we are going to style them a bit. Let me just see what we should add right now. Let me just remove a bit something. So category, I will remove this top and the relative one. And I want to see why they look like that. I think that I forgot to add some styling to the columns. So let me see. We have the display flex, the line item center, the justify content center. The button is having display flex, line item center, justify content center. It doesn't have any type of background. Let me just try and see if I just forgot some styling. Okay, I don't really have the redirect right now. Let's just add the redirect and then watch the styling a bit. So leave it this for a moment like this. We are going to style it. So as I said, I want to look everything fine. So I will just add this back and create a const redirect, just a function, so it's not going to give any an error. So I need the redirect because I copied the previous code, which looked just fine. Handle redirect should be right here. So we have handle redirect. And we need the redirect. So to use the redirect, we just need to import use redirect. It was actually called use navigate. Use navigate. We need to use const redirect, set redirect to use state and then null. Actually, I think that I can do this a bit easier. So let me just try something. I will delete this redirect again. No, not the render, the redirect one. This is going to be deleted. This is going to be deleted. This one the same. This one the same. The same for this one. Because we don't need it. And I'm just curious why the styling is this funny. I want to go to a row. So we had the first row and the second row. The container is fine. The category screen is fine. So the H1, so we have the first row, and the row is having a column. And every column is having the button. Let me just go for this one right here. So the button needs to align the items into the center. Display flex, align, justify content center. It's not working properly for the SVG. I forgot to add something. Yes, every image is having the image category class. And if you go to the CSS, that's the problem. So they are both relatives, so they can interact with each other. So I want to make this absolute, so it doesn't really care about the other elements. So they can stack over each other. So we can just hit image category and at the position of absolute, and a width of 37 rams. So for the width. And now they look like in the demo. You can really see the difference between. Okay, and yeah, this is fine. We can make the SVGs a bit bigger. This is what I wanna do. So go to category, the category, and for every SVG, what we can do, we can go for the buttons and the class list. So let's see, rectangle. So every button is going to have the rectangle class, like that. So that redirected that you saw before, it's just deleted, was interfering. So it's just before you have the container. The container is having two rows, so the first row and the second row. Every row is having a column with the style that you saw before, and every column is having a button because this rectangle is just a big button, and every button is having the image, this one, the image, and the SVG. So every button is having the image and the SVG. The image is having a position of absolute, so the SVG can stack on it because they are not interfering with each other. Imagine like the image doesn't care about the other elements. The rest is the same, so I didn't copy it, paste anything else. It's just the same thing, so it's fine. I'm going to put the code into this GitHub so you can see it. It's going to be a link to the description with the code that we have until this moment. Okay, so you can find it in the description if you get lost. I just want you to understand why we are doing what we are doing. So the handle redirect is going to be deleted, and as I said in this page, every time I'm clicking on one type of page, I want to be redirected to the, let's say, uh, I will show you into the demo. But right now, what I want to do is if we select all, if we click select all received recipes, I want to go to a page where we have, let's say, recipe details and all. If I click to the cookie page, I want to be sent to the cookie page slash all. If I click to the padding, I'm going to show this one to you. So if you go, I'm just going to open the demo. So go to the cookbook, cd to the backend. I want to show this to you into the demo. This is going to open our demo. So we go to recipes, we go to suite, select our suite. So it's sending me to recipes details and suite. And this page should render all the suite recipes. If we go to the cookie one, I want to special category cookie recipe details. So we need to have the page recipe details if we want to print every recipe from a category. Let's say we go to the home recipes, salad, select our salad, recipe details and salad. If you go to the savory and click select our savory recipes, recipe details and savory. So this select all will depend on which type of data we want to get. So it's going. So we need to have the recipe details page. Okay. In the app.js, we want to have the path recipe details, which is going to have recipe screen. So let's create this screen, recipe screen.js, import it so we don't get an error. Let's just import it right here. Import recipe screen. Okay. So recipe details and the ID. So we want to go to the category and copy these params. Go to the recipe screen, and take care of this one. So import use params. I'm going to have an h1. I'm going to print the ID right here. So I'm going to close the demo, open the other ports again. So command prompt, active, go to the front end, npm start. Okay, so we already have the recipe page. We can click which type of food we want. Let's say sweet, and go to the all. So we got redirected to recipe details and sweet. Let me just see recipe details and sweet, and I can bring this down a bit. So style, position of relative, and the top of 10 RAM, so you can see it. So we have the sweet. If we go to the salad, select all, we can see salad. So depending on which category we are hitting, is going to send that to a different ID. So this one is sending me to the category savory, and I want to be sure that you can remember that, so you know why. So the page 2 that we did last time, this is the page 2. It's having 4 links. This is sending me to the category sweet, category coffee, category savory, category salad. You can see 2 category sweet, category coffee, category salad. This we did this last time. This was the page 2 from last time. And then we created the actual component that should be triggered when we go to the category and ID, category sweet, category salad. And this is called category, where we are going to get ID and render the actual rectangles, where we have different images for every rectangle. We have so let's say that we go to the ID of suite. So we have to render the suite 1.png photo, suite 2.png, suite 3.png, suite 4. If you go to the salad, so salad 1.png, salad 2.png, you're going to find these images, suite 1, suite 3, suite. So you have to take everything, but you're going to find this into the repo. So trust me, this is going to be into the repo. Don't worry. I have 2 images right here. So you will find this image folder into the repo. Just go and take it. It's going to be fine if you follow the rules. Now I go to the coffee and I hit select all coffee recipes. And I'm getting redirected to the URL recipe details and coffee. This is right here, recipe details and the ID coffee from the URL. And you have the recipe screen. And you need to get all the data from the backend with the coffee ID. Because if you remember, in the backend, every recipe is from a category. And I call it coffee. You can call it drinkable. It's just a naming. So my drinkable category is just going to be full of coffee. So if you go to the sweet, you have sweet category. If you go to savory, you have savory category. If you understand the logic, you can do it by yourself, whatever you want. You can add another category. So I have the coffee. That's all. I just want coffee with my cookbook. Let's select all sweet recipes. I need to go to the backend and get all the data which has the category sweet. And to do that, we want to go to the recipe screen. So pages, recipe screen, and let me think. We want to use effects, so const recipes, set recipes is going to be equal to use state. And initially the recipes are going to be just an empty array. When we start the server, we want to try and catch if you actually got an error just to console log it. So we want to try and get the data from the backend. And in the backend, we have a URL, the API URLs called the recipe category and ID. Recipe category sweet, recipe category coffee, recipe category savory, which if you remember, recipe category, get recipe, get recipe category is just filtering the data from the backend with this type of category. So every recipe is having a is from a category, if you remember this from the backend. So the URL is just our local host. So local host from the backend. Let me just show this to you. So you can go to the desktop or where you have the project, Cookbook project, backend, activate the environment and run server. So I said I have a different environment. You can use the other one that I used before. This is the server. You just have to copy this, add it here, and then if you remember in the API URL, we need to go to recipe category and ID to call this function, and this ID is going to add it here. This is going to return the data with that ID. So in this case, it's called API. Just a second. API recipe category. So I will just drag it right here so you can see it. Let me. So API is the main URL that we set before. So you need to go to the API, then recipe category and ID. So API, recipe category and ID. And this ID is getting taken by the URL. This URL triggers the get recipe category function, goes to the pre-K, so the ID. We get the data of this type of category. So as I said, sweet, savory, and return it. And if you go to this one, but I don't want to add it here, sorry. This needs to be here. So we need to get the response. So response equal await axios.get. So we need to import axios from axios. To actually use it, we need to actually import it. So install it. Go to your frontend command prompt npm install axios. Axios is a way to call the backend APIs. Start again the server. So we need to make a get request. If you remember in the backend, we said that this is going to be, let me go a bit back, API views. This is a get request. So we need to specify a get request and the URL to take this request. And the URL is the local host API recipe category and ID. To this function is going to, this try catch is going to be just a function, so const, let's call it get recipes, which is going to be an async function. Why async? Because you want to wait for the data. So when the code gets here, this is going to be like a sleep kind of system. So it's just going to stop and wait for the data, so for the backend to respond with the data. If you go to this URL, so I take this one on the Google, I don't know, and we add, I don't know, suite. The backend is sending me this one. I showed this to you before, and we want to get this into the front end. So it's going to be exactly the same thing. So we print the response. But we need to wait for it. So when we start the server, we need to get the function get recipes. I do a console log, sorry. Okay, so we go to the recipes, suite, select all suite recipes, and if you go to inspect console, no access control or origin header is present. So I'm going to explain you this one. Uh, but I think that we did this before, so let me go to the settings. I think that we did this configuration last when we were on the backend. Nope, we didn't. So what happens is that the frontend is going to the backend and something like, please give me the data, I want to access the data. And the backend doesn't know the or frontend and doesn't want to give the data. So it's like a protection system. So you can go to Django, allow course. We need to make some imports into the backend. We need course headers. Into the install depths, you need to add course headers. Then into the middlewares, we need to import this one. Those two actually, there are two imports. After those, we would like to have, so right now I just want to allow anyone to access my backend, but we are going to change this in the future, so we can just hit, let's see, it should be something like course allow, course allow all origins, so this one. So we are just going to allow everyone to access our backend for right now. It's going to be true. Not allow methods. It's a bit different. Sorry. All origins. I can't really see it. This one. Course allow all origins. Is going to set to true. So we want to allow anyone to access our backend because just we can access our backend. I know. So if I refresh, I don't get that error, so we get the data from the backend. So as I showed you in the backend before, when we hit that URL got us this data, we did the same on the front end. So we had, let me go back to the front end to show you. We have a variable which is awaiting for this response. So await for the response. It's a get response. And we can log it. So this is a status of 200 because everything worked just fine. And this is the data. That's pretty good. Now let's go here and set the data. So if the response that status is equal to 200, we want to set the data. So everything works fine. So we have to set the data response that data. Now we can, this is, so as I said, we can't really just say recipe is equal to response that data. We want to use the set recipes variable to attribute this variable, the data, because this is how React works. This is going to re-render the page and actually see the changes. Okay, so we just attribute this recipe array the data from the response. And if you want to map it, you can go recipes.map, go to every recipe, and let's say that we want to print the a dot title. I want to see if it's actually having a title. Data name, sorry, so it's having a name. So a dot name. Let me just see. So elements, we don't have the data. So element, and we want to render just a p tag. Let me see if it's getting, nope. The data is actually getting saved, so I want to see if this set recipe actually works. Let me just console log the response that data, so I know that I'm attributing what I have to. So that, yes, I'm attributing the array. And that array is added to the recipes. and we have something like so. We want to recipes.map, and we have some HTML that gets rendered for every recipe. Okay, this one works. It's just the syntax that is killing me. So for we want to iterate every element from this array. So we got the response, and in response that data we have the array data that we use. So we use the setRecipes function to attribute the data for the recipe. And now we want to iterate with the map on every recipe. So on every element from here. This one, this one, this one, this one. And from every element, so we map the elements with this map functionality. So element. And for every element we want to print element dot title or text. I think it was title. No, it's name. So name. And you can see protein shake, cookie, cookie sweeter, and random. I don't know if I have data for the salad, but let's try it. No, we don't have data for the salad. You can see it's just an empty array. But if you go to backend, so port 8000, admin, let's create a super user. So this is the backend, Python manage.py create super user, Control C to stop the terminal so you can see it. Yeah, add the username, an email. Okay, activate the backend once again. So let's see. Now let's go to recipes and create a salad recipe. So add recipe, salad one. We can choose an image. Let's go to recipe book, source. Or let's just not add an image. Oh, let's see downloads. Maybe I can find an image right here. So salad, open. Is going to be from the salad category, and the specific category, let's say pouring. So click save. Now I refresh and we have the salad one because we actually have some data from the salad category. I think that we did some just for the sweet. This is why when we go to the sweet, we have a bit more of them. So cookie, protein shake, random. Okay, that's it for this video. Next time we want to actually style them. So to have something like in the demo, when we're looking to the select all sweet recipes, this is going to print us all the recipes that we have, and in the future we can edit them. And after we create the functionality for the select all sweet recipes, we want to create the specific category too, as in the demo. So maybe we select all sweet, and we have all the sweet here, but maybe I want only the cookies. So we click this one, and this one sends me to a page, something like category. So not the recipe details, but category specific, and I say cookie. And we are going to have all the cookies. This is what you want to achieve in the next video. So thanks for paying attention. I hope you like it. Into the description, you're going to have the GitHub repo for this current application, and you can use it, copy it if you want, if you got lost or something like that. But pay attention on the video and try to understand what you are doing. Have fun and good luck.